What's going on? Jake here with UNCOMMONEDC. Today we're checking out the Lochby Field Folio A5. This is a brand new product from Lochby, available on their website for $59.99 or $54 if you use code UNCOMMONEDC. So I'll be sure to leave those details down in the description of the video. Now, first thing that might stand out if you've seen some of my other Lochby content or even some of my other notebook content in general is that this is a lot larger than the typical 3.5 by 5.5 inch notebooks I usually carry. And that's because I've been carrying more backpacks lately, so I have a little bit more room to carry a larger notebook, and I've really been wanting to try one out. So the Field Folio exterior dimensions are 10.1 inches tall, 6.7 inches wide, and they're made to accommodate up to 4 A5 notebooks simultaneously. Now, if you're not familiar with an A5 notebook, we'll see one when we get to the interior segment of this video, but the important thing to know is that they're 8.27 inches tall by 5.83 inches wide. So they offer significantly more real estate to jot things down than a typical pocket notebook. Now, the Field Folios start with a waxed canvas exterior, just like all Lochby products, and they're available with 3 different colors on the exterior. So the brown you see here, a charcoal version, as well as a navy version. There's also a couple of different interior options this time around, which we'll talk about when we get to that. Now, if you're not familiar with waxed canvas, it's exactly what it sounds like, a wax impregnated canvas. It adds a layer of water resistance and durability to the fabric. Looks really great. Now, they're not waterproof. If you submerge it, it will definitely soak through, and there's some small openings here as well. But paired with the zipper, it does offer a decent bit of water protection. So if you spill on it, take it out in a storm, it's going to be just fine. And that's one of the major trade-offs of the Field Folio versus the Field Journal that's made for the A5 notebook as well. The Field Journal is closed with a metal clasp here, so you have a little bit quicker access, but the contents on the inside aren't protected from the elements, and there is a chance that if they slide out of their slots, they can fall out completely, where with the Field Folio, everything is nice and secure with that zipper, keeps it fully protected. Now, we also have a grab handle on the exterior. They don't do a lot on the exterior in terms of branding or extra pockets that aren't necessary, so just a Lochby tag on the front. But if we go over the back, we do have a quick access pocket here. This is not secured with Velcro or a zipper or anything, but it is relatively snug, so those small flat objects, if you have a receipt or business cards you just want to toss in there quickly, you can easily throw those in without opening the entire notebook up. So really nice for that, but do keep in mind that it doesn't close. And so if you put like a coin or something like that, this is a little bit more slick and slippery. If you flip this upside down, there is a chance that that's going to fly out of here. And so I would put that on the interior portion instead. Now, we have it closed with a YKK zipper, clamshell style opening. It's going to open fully just like any book. And so one of the things that's noticeable and has changed from previous iterations is this extra runway, the sort of leash for the zipper that extends it out. I think the original design had a zipper garage, and so this one gives it a little bit more mobility, ability to open it a little bit further, and just gives it that extra runway here. It's ended with this soft rubber kind of ending, so it doesn't make any noise when it bangs up against anything or anything like that. We also have YKK style zippers here, and you'll see that they tie them off with a color matched lanyard. They do leave the original zipper pull, so if you want to remove it, you can. I would imagine there's a little bit more rattle if you remove the paracord, but that's definitely an option because the pull is still there. Now let's go ahead and get this open, and we can take a look at the interior portion of this. And inside, you'll see we have a bunch of organization on both the front and back covers, and in the center we have these 4 lengths of elastic string, and so each one of these allows you to attach a different notebook. And so we have one of their A5 notebooks with the dot style grid. You can see we also get 2 golden bookmarks here as well, and you just thread that through the center page here, and it allows you to use these and store them. Now, you also have these back storages that can also fit another A5 notebook, and so if you really want to, you can just put the cover in there and use 6 simultaneously. Although that seems like a little bit overkill, you never know if you just go through a lot of notebooks or you want one for different things, you are able to accommodate up to 6 notebooks in total. Now, it comes with 1 dot grid. They also sell them in 4 packs and 10 packs. Outside of the dot, there's regular grid, plain paper, lined paper. I think they even have a planner version. I actually want to order some of their planners to throw in here as well. But yeah, a bunch of different options. If you're not looking to fill it with a Lochby notebook, you can find any A5 style notebook that's 8.27 inches tall by 5.83 inches wide, and they will work with this Folio. Now on our left cover, we'll start here. We have this honeycomb high-vis ripstop nylon in this bright yellow coloration. There is also the cream option this time if you go with either the black or the navy. The black I think has both the high-vis as well as the cream. So if you want something a little bit more muted, that's definitely an option this time around. We'll start at the top, work our way down. At the top we have a pen slot that can accommodate full-size pens here. This is an Everyman brass twist, and so really nice pen slot here. I actually wouldn't have minded if we had 2 or 3 pen slots right here, even if it meant we had to give up some of our other slotting, which I don't necessarily think we would, but that would give us the option of carrying 2 different color pens if you're doing notes and you want black and red, or even 3 pen slots, black, red, and blue, or if you want a pen and a pencil, a highlighter and a Sharpie. Gives you a bunch of different options. Now you can just carry it with the Quattro, which carries up to 4 pens on the interior and has some exterior storage as well. This is actually a really great opportunity to take a look at what it looks like when it wears in. Develops a really, really nice patina, just like leather, and I think looks really, really nice once it starts to wear in. But we do have a single pen slot here at the top. You can also slot pens down here. They're not dedicated slots, but you do have the option to put more pens if you don't want to carry something separate like the Quattro. Now at the top, I have a bunch of credit card size tools in here. I don't think this slot is necessarily made for credit cards, but I put them in here because it is a pretty loose slot. It's about 2¼ inches deep, 4½ inches wide. And so if you're familiar with the size of credit cards, you know that that's more real estate than you need. So you really have to pack that tight if you're going to try and utilize this as a wallet, if you don't want those items to fall out of there. I tried with just a couple cards, and if you flip it upside down, those will eventually fall out. Now, thankfully with the zipper, you don't have to worry about losing those like you would with the Field Journal. But again, if you want it to be snug and tight, you have to put a lot more cards than you'd expect. So I went with one of these charging cards, which is extremely thick, this eating card with a fork and knife, as well as a credit card, our Mummert knives, titanium credit card knife, magnifier, and an ID. And even that, there's probably still room to slot another 1 or 2 cards in there. And if I went less than that, they will again slide in and out of there. Now you can put other small things in here, devices, something like a small calculator would be great if you don't want to use your phone. And so it's definitely usable for other things, but I did want to show that you can technically use that for cards if you want. I think it also makes a pretty nice slot to fill with business cards. And so if you have a thick enough stack, again, you're not going to have to worry about those falling out of there. Now moving down from there, we have another pocket that's the same width, again about that 4½ inches, but this one's about 5¼ inches deep. And so where the other one stopped, and we can see that here with this ruler, we stopped at about 2¼ inches. This one goes the rest of the way down. You can go all the way to the bottom and take advantage of all of that spacing. And so this is a really nice option to put things like your pens in there. If you have multiple pens, you can line them up here, no problem whatsoever. And so again, don't want to feel like you have to carry a separate option if you want to carry multiple pens. Now outside of that ruler, I think I slotted a few other things in here. We have a comb in Ultim to match that honeycomb, and as well as a pry bar. This is a brass pry bar from UNCOMMONEDC EDC. This is, I believe this is called the Traveler, I want to say. And so really old pry bar I have from them that I thought matched my pen well, but you can see it fits a lot of small flat objects. Those don't seem to fall out if they're longer, but again, same issue as the other one is that there's nothing closing those in, so they can slide out of there if you have shorter items in there. Now we also have a mesh pocket at the bottom, same width once again. This one I haven't really had any issues with things falling out, even though there's not a Velcro closure. I think that would be a welcome addition, just a small piece of Velcro right here to keep everything closed. But these smaller items seem to stay put pretty well in this mesh pocket for me. So I have an analog caliper from Mech Army. This one can double as a ruler and a straight edge as well. We also have a USB flash drive. We have a fidget, just kind of a worry stone / roller from Concept EDC, as well as a small pair of nail clippers from Victorinox. And so once again, this one has the same kind of looseness as those other pockets, but a little bit more secure and keeps things in there a little bit tighter. Now it's about 3¼ inches deep, and so again makes full use of that depth. Again, we have 4 strings here. I'm only utilizing one of them for the notebooks. It does come with one of these dot style pages, but again, they offer them in blank, pure, grid, and planner pages. There's bookmarks in there as well, and you can kind of flip them forward or backwards. There's also a slot behind either of these. I mentioned you can fit the A5 notebook, but you can also just use it for other objects. So since I had credit cards in there, I figured I would throw some cash in this slot as well, so you can see what that might look like. Flipping over to the back side, a lot less organization over here. We have that same slot. Again, you can put another notebook in there. I chose chose to put a hank in there. This one is from Super Essay, as you can see. It's actually pretty interesting. It has a filter inside of here. So I got this when the LA fires were happening, and you can use that filter, just put the entire hank over your mouth to filter out that air and not have to worry about having a mask or anything like that. So came in real handy when the fires were happening. We also have a few different 3.5 by 5.5 inch hip pocket briefs. These are just books that are the size of your typical 3.5 by 5.5 inch notebook. So I have a few different versions of those for some light reading. Really love the form factor of 3.5 by 5.5 inch notebook. So if anyone knows of other books that you can find in this sizing, I would definitely be really interested in hearing about that down in the comments. But you can see we have another slot back here. We'll measure that out once again to about, I have that upside down, about 5.5 inches though, and with the width of about 5 inches or so. And then again, full open slot for either notebooks or small flat objects. And that rounds this one out. A lot of different carry options in here. I love the closing version of it. You can see this has a really nice kind of bottom seam because of how the tracking works. So they have this that sits outside of the rest of the pouch and kind of encapsulates everything. And it does have a hardened spine, so it ends up sitting at about 1 inch thick, whether or not it's loaded out, which is nice because it keeps it from kind of imprinting on the cover as long as you don't overfill it. Now there's a hard padding in the cover as well to keep it from bending up too much. But as you fill it up, obviously it's going to kind of push outwards if it goes over that inch. And so I do like that hard spine here. It gives it that nice kind of portfolio carry method to it as well if you don't want to carry it in a bag. But I think really cool option. I'm excited to carry this one a lot more. Like I said, I've been carrying a lot more backpacks, and I have a couple more in my PO box right now that I'm going to pick up. So just trying to try out some different options. Would love to hear your thoughts on this one though down in the comments below. As usual, if you enjoyed the video, consider liking, commenting, subscribing, or checking out some of my other content. And I hope you have a great one. Take care.